Welcome to Liesel's Artistic Studio. I'm so happy you're here to join me for another great day of painting. You know, Picasso once said, "Art washes from the soul the dust of everyday life." So let's go ahead and wash the dust off of our everyday life for a few minutes and just sit back and enjoy painting these pretty and loose spring tulips in just 3 easy steps. Let's really quickly go over the supplies we need so we can get to painting. First, I have watercolor paper cut to the size 8 by 10. Now, I recommend for today's painting some good quality paper. This is the brand I'm using today. It's 140 pound, 100% cotton. I did try the flowers on some cheaper Canson XL paper, which usually I have pretty good luck with, but on this layering effect that I'm trying to create today, it just didn't work as well. So if your flowers don't seem to be layering good, try some high quality paper. I'll leave a link in the description of this video if you want to look into this particular paper some more. Then I have a scrap piece of paper to test some mixed colors on. I have water, a paper towel, and watercolor paints. For my main colors today, I'll be using Quinacridone Rose, Cobalt Violet, and Hooker's Green. And last but not least, I have a nice large number 12 round brush with a nice pointy tip. For more details on any of these products, you can find it by clicking on the description of this video. Okay, now that all the boring technical stuff is out of the way, let's get to painting. I'm going to start by mixing the color I want for my tulips. I'm just going to mix some of this pink and purple together to get something in between the two. Because we're going to be layering the colors a little bit, I'm also going to be adding extra water to keep the color fairly light in value. This is where that test paper comes in handy. Test your color out and continue adding color and/or water until you've got the color you like. Now, I will just throw out there, these are the colors I'm choosing to use, but you can use whatever colors you like. Now that I've got a nice light purple pink color, the first step to painting these flowers is really simple. Start by loading your brush with paint, pick a spot on your paper where you want your tulip to be, then holding your brush with the tip pointing downward, paint 2 broad brush strokes to form a petal shape. The key here is to let the brush do the work for you. That's why I picked a larger size brush today, because when I press down with the brush, it naturally makes a nice wide stroke. I'm also just leaving the top of the petal how it looks when I lift the brush off. It's jagged and imperfect, but for these loose flowers, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Now that I've painted 6 of these first petals, I'm going to pick one that's still a little wet and add in some Hooker's Green to the base and sides just a little bit to make one of them look more like a bud or a tulip that's just about to open. Now just let everything dry completely and you'll be ready for step number 2. If you're enjoying my tutorial so far, don't forget to hit that like button and give me a thumbs up because that's what lets YouTube know you're enjoying my content. Okay, now that those petals are completely dry, we're ready for step number 2. The good news is that it is very similar to step number 1. We're just going to paint 2 petals in the same way as we just did, only they will curve and overlap the first petal slightly on either side. If you want, you can even add a little bit of color above the center of the flower to give the illusion of some petals in the back. I try to give helpful tips with each tutorial I create. If you found any of these tips helpful today, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on more watercolor tips every week. Another optional part to this step is to add in 1 or 2 really small petals off to the sides. All right, hopefully this hasn't been too hard so far, because now that the tops of the flowers are done, we only have one last step to finish off these tulips. For step number 3, we're going to add in the greenery. We'll start with a stem for each flower using the hooker green and just the very tip of the brush. To help keep the lines thin, after your brush is loaded, gently dab it on your paper towel and take off any excess paint. I'm also going to try to make the very top and the very bottom of the stem slightly darker in value than the middle. In my opinion, this is when these flowers really start to come to life. For the leaves of these tulips, let's now take some of that hooker's green and add in some extra water to lighten it up just a little bit. Again, test your color out if you need to. Make sure it's good before you start painting. I'm choosing to use a lighter value, mainly just because I don't want the leaves to be more of a focus than the flowers themselves. Now, painting the leaves is pretty simple because I'm using such a large, broad brush. I can paint each leaf using one stroke. I start gently with the tip, just touching the paper, and as I move down, I'll press down harder. And then I'll let up at the end to thin it out at the base. Then you just add as many leaves as you feel like it needs. These are such fun and easy flowers to paint, and I think they would look really good in many other colors too. Now that your painting is done, you can choose to leave it just as it is, or you can add a pretty word to your painting. I'm choosing to add the word spring. And here are your pretty yet simple loose watercolor tulips, perfect for a springtime card or a decor piece for your home. Thanks so much for painting with me today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please consider subscribing to my channel so I can continue to help you discover your artistic side.